Sometime in 2013, a group of men who had already resigned from an exclusive golf club in Jupiter, Florida, opened a letter from the club's new owner, Donald Trump. They had quit by the book. Under the club's old rules, a departing member could walk away, wait for his spot to resell, and collect his six-figure deposit on the way out. The letter from the Trump organization erased that promise. It told these former members they were now banned from the fairways and the clubhouse, and yet they still owed the full annual dues every single year until the club found someone to replace them. That replacement could take years to appear, so they were paying top dollar for a Florida golf course they were forbidden to set foot on, with no refund anywhere in sight. That one letter exposes the real secret of the most exclusive golf clubs on earth. The seven-figure fee to get through the gate is the cheapest, most honest number you will ever be shown. And by the end of this video, you will see how a golf membership quietly becomes a machine built to devour the very people who bought it, and why the smartest millionaires in the room walk straight into it on purpose. To understand how that happens, forget your local country club with the sign-up sheet by the pro shop. At the very top of American golf, membership is invitation only. Your net worth gets quietly investigated long before anyone asks you to join. And the entry fee is engineered to keep people out, not to earn the club a profit. At Seabonac, a windswept private course in Southampton, New York, joining reportedly costs somewhere between $650,000 and more than $1 million. But that headline number, the one that shows up in glossy magazine articles, is only the first of 4 separate costs. The other 3 are the ones no membership director will ever spell out for you at the front gate. Start with the famous number, the initiation fee. Around $500,000 at the Madison Club out in the California desert, roughly $450,000 at Liberty National, sitting right across the water from the Manhattan skyline, a rumored $250,000 to $500,000 at Augusta National in Georgia, though Augusta hides its figures so carefully that the secrecy itself has become part of the legend. Here is what that fee actually buys, and it has almost nothing to do with how well you swing a club on the practice range. It buys proof. Proof that you can write an enormous check without flinching. A man who can lose $500,000 and not feel it is exactly the man these clubs are hunting, because he will keep spending for decades after he walks through the door. So the initiation is not really a price, it is an audition. And the clubs are clever about how that payment feels. Many of these fees are technically refundable or transferable to the next member in the queue, which makes a giant payment feel less like burned cash and more like an asset you are parking with friends. Hold on to that word, asset, because the members in Jupiter believed exactly the same thing right up until the letter landed in the mailbox. The initiation, though, is a one-time hit. The real machine is the cost that never stops, and it starts the moment they hand you your locker key. Annual dues at these clubs regularly run between $30,000 and $70,000 a year. At the Vintage Club in Indian Wells, around $45,000. Then come the minimums, where the club orders you to spend a fixed sum in the oak-paneled dining room every year, whether you set foot in it or not. Order the steak or skip it. The bill arrives either way. But the charge that truly draws blood is the capital assessment, and there is a real court case that shows exactly how it works. At Wade Hampton, an invitation-only club buried in the mountains of Cashiers, North Carolina, and ranked among the finest golf courses in America, the members approved a clubhouse renovation projected to cost close to $6 million. By the time the dust settled, that project had ballooned to more than $10.5 million, and the club had taken on nearly $12 million in debt. So the club sent every single member the same notice, a special assessment of $7,500 each, on top of a new member fee that had already climbed to $140,000. There is no vote you can win here, and no way to opt out. You simply owe it. And when 13 former members finally pushed back, the fight landed in federal court in Asheville. Wade Hampton is not alone. Over in Charlotte, a former United States ambassador named Mark Irwin sued his own club, Myers Park, over a $27 million renovation, a $95,000 initiation, and dues climbing by around $1,000 a month, claiming the leadership refused to show members the real numbers. These are not rumors whispered in the grill room. They are lawsuits, filed in public courthouses with the figures printed right there in the record. And we still have not reached the most expensive cost of all, the one that never appears on any invoice. Here is what no brochure at the front desk will ever mention. The most expensive thing about joining a room full of billionaires is the daily effort of trying to keep up with them. Once you are inside the clubhouse, the spending turns social. There is the charity gala, where the table beside yours just bid $400,000 on a safari, and every head in the room turns to see what you will do. There is the annual members' trip to St. Andrews in Scotland, where somehow the entire group is flying by private jet. There is the unspoken dress code on the first tee, the correct watch on your wrist, and the second home you suddenly need nearby just to use the course you already paid a fortune to join. None of it is written down anywhere. All of it is expected. The club sold you access to extraordinarily wealthy people, and access to wealthy people turns out to be the single most expensive product money can buy because their version of normal is built to quietly bankrupt yours. And this is the genius of the whole arrangement. The club sells you belonging. Then belonging sells you everything else, the cars in the members' lot, the trips, the lake house, and the exhausting habit of never once being the person who admits the price is too high. Which leads straight to the question that flips this entire story upside down. If the fees are this savage and the social bleed is this relentless, why on earth would anyone stay? Because none of this is a flaw in the system. This is the system. Think about what an ultra-exclusive club is truly selling. It is never really about the fairways, because there are gorgeous public courses you can play for $200 a round. What these clubs sell is the guarantee that almost nobody else on earth can get in. And the force that enforces that guarantee is the cost itself. Every savage fee, every surprise assessment, every unspoken social expectation works as a filter on the front gate, silently removing anyone who cannot sustain the bleed. The bleeding is what keeps the club exclusive, which means the bleeding is the product. The members did not stumble into the cost. They came for it. That is the entire point. And when a member finally cannot keep up, the club does not blink. Remember those 13 members who sued Wade Hampton. When they resigned, the club owed them refundable redemption fees worth between roughly $42,000 and $63,000 each, and then simply suspended the payments, leaving over $300,000 frozen. It is the exact same trap that closed on the men in Jupiter, playing out all over again in the mountains of North Carolina. Then look at the Yellowstone Club in the Big Sky Mountains of Montana, where the buy-in ran around $400,000, the yearly dues passed $40,000, and you could not even join without also buying a home on the mountain, starting near $5 million and climbing toward $25 million. The membership included Bill Gates and Tom Brady. Then the club's own founder, Tim Blixseth, borrowed $375 million against the resort and poured much of it into his own jet-set lifestyle. In 2008, the whole glittering thing collapsed into bankruptcy court, and it later sold for just $115 million. The people who bought in for the exclusivity watched their private paradise burn from the most expensive seats in the entire state. Which brings us all the way back to that letter in Jupiter. In 2017, a federal judge named Kenneth Mara ruled that the Trump Club owed 65 of those former members nearly $6 million in withheld deposits. The club's own defense in court had been that it was losing money, so those members might never be repaid at all. The $1 million fee, it turns out, was the one number every single one of these people actually understood. It was printed, it was signed, and it was almost honest. Everything that came after it, the dues that chased them past the gate, The surprise assessments, the social pressure, the frozen refunds, the collapse, all of that was the true cost of belonging. The initiation was only ever the toll to reach it. And here is the part that should make you pause. This exact machine runs through every level of luxury, wearing a slightly different suit each time. You have already watched it swallow the owners of mega mansions whole. If you want to see the very same traps snap shut on the people who bought penthouses high above the city skyline, that video is playing on your screen right now. Go watch it.